Check Maverick here, and welcome to the Talks Near Me podcast, the show where we share our advice to our audiences that could use talk therapy to improve mental health. We also uncover your popular media franchises and our popular culture content. So for today's episode, we like it's the beginning. I could say I might have already posted the episode prior to like an interview I had with like a guest, one of our first guests, on the show itself that we're interviewing mainly about the whole viral pandemic of a lot of people. I'd like to have some more discussion about that and everything. This is something interesting. This is something I think very, 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 very interesting of this whole thing that's going on for the past several months. I didn't even name the title of the video for this one. This one is just mainly about what we're talking about is a lot of people who call themselves experts. Whether it being fake experts, fake media, like basically a lot of persons in them that want to claim themselves as gurus or try and label you as a guru. It's such a ridiculous thing that we're living through now in this world. It's incredible. It's like I've seen it all come in like years ago, long before it even got to this point, where you can call someone a phony. Now it's up to where you can call them a fake, and that fake ends up calling you a fake. And now we're just in this world where it's a matrix of persons who are fakes. You don't know who's legitimate if you're walking around ignorant. That is most likely that's a thing for sure. You walk around ignorant, you could be taken advantage of. Or if you're a novice or a neophyte where you're just so inexperienced, a lot of persons in them just they when they see you just like that, that means you're vulnerable. It's like you're someone they could sell to. You're someone they could do a lot with. They're like, I'm looking to try and make all the money off you, man. I'm looking to try and get all your pain points. And I'm going to intensify that without you even knowing. I'm going to manipulate you. But I won't tell you that. You're going to end up trusting what I have to say, and then you're never going to see me ever again. That's what's going on with a lot of persons like that. Compared to other persons who really are per se experts. But I could say let's jump into what mainly I want to go with. Look up what's going on with the media and everything. With them, it's like, gosh, like there's so many different aspects of what's going on. There's so many of them out there that talks about so many things with this whole viral pandemic. And I know when you saw the I wouldn't even call it the first part. Let's say it's the first part in the interview. This is the beginning of it. That was you could say conclusion of it. Where, we're trying to give more information out to people who are going through a lot right now. Like persons in them are starving right now, right? Like all across many different states, all across many different other nations in the world. It's crazy. And then you have you got people in them who, what do they got to do? They found me that they're trying to find some way to start working again so they can start stocking up, getting some food in order for their family, because it's hard out there. And then now for the United States, they have a stimulus check. The stimulus check, I don't know if it's something completely, you could say, functional. I wouldn't say it's something workable, but it is something where I'd say it's a start to something that, the governments there could do. That's fine and everything. It's just how effective will this be? Like, how long is this going to continue and last for so many people out there? Like, it is ridiculous. Like, to close down this country for so long and then try and do this whole mass hysteria saying trust the experts. I'm a little bit late to the party even try and get into it at this point. It's like they'd slowed down from its sense. Thankfully, you have someone like, I think, President Trump. Like, I think that guy being one of the most like legitimate sort of like leaders there is. And I'm not trying to simply praise him because I'm someone who's biased of him. I'm not saying that. Pay attention and really write down, learning the word context. when someone is trying to convey a message to you. Seriously, just shut up and listen and stop trying to validate someone else's opinion or just simply disclaim it. All I'm saying is for someone like him who wants to actually get things back in order, running in sequences, because he know the effects is we continue to close down the country and keep things the way it's going, a lot of people are going to have their lives ruined. Like right now, over 30 million people are already unemployed, right? That's over 30 million people. Then you got so many people with these, you have so many people that are have these comorbidities that they're suffering from. Where, okay, yeah, sure, let's shut down everything. Let's put everyone in a house. Let's completely forget all about the patients we have here currently. Let's just tell them, hey, you can't stay here anymore, or you're going to stay in this hospital, and we're going to have to, see what we can do to treat you. We're going to be very exhausted for it. You may not live. You may live. Who knows? Depending on our manpower, because we got to deal with this virus. We got to prioritize. This virus right here, it's hectic, man. It's hectic. Let's not worry about the cancer patients. Let's not worry about the persons who are already suffering from all sorts of many other diseases, who has like HIV already, the acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. They got to deal with that, Alzheimer's and stuff, all that kind of stuff, fatal injuries and things they could be suffering from. Let's just completely forget all those people and focus on like the social distancing and shutdown of keeping everyone secluded away in isolation in their homes. And then let's forget about giving the treatments to people, who usually gets their what's it? What do they usually get? It's like a periodical treatment they usually have to receive. Let's forget all about that. Sure, okay. And then let's not have them really get the main nutrients they usually would need as usual in order to survive, and then just simply just say, yeah, let's do this, because people who are not staying home, they're against the law, like stay home, like stop trying to put this spread, stop being irresponsible. I find that ironic when people said that kind of thing, or I find it ironic how people didn't even look to see those layers ahead of time instead of focused on being so myopic, narrow-minded, and just pivoted on something they considered a major matter over the rest of the other matters that people are suffering from. Like I get that you're finding some sort of like solution, some sort of like method in some way to make sure that the spread doesn't increase. I'm trying to figure out was that the only way we could have handled things? Would there have been a more effective way for us to do things? What was the whole point in actually doing the whole thing? I felt like the whole thing was just counterproductive. I felt like the whole thing was counterproductive. It was still something that was a great initiative, I suppose. But the counterproductivity comes in as a factor where, okay, everyone's home, social distancing, or most people, right? What have you done since? Where are the persons who are going to come in and try and survey these people at their houses? Where are the door-to-door persons who are coming in? Not a salesperson, a medical official who knows what they're doing, who can come, make the tests, all that kind of stuff. Where are those persons who could have came at your door and say, we're going to test you, take the saliva, or let's get some part of your DNA, even if it's blood. So we're going to start, running the tests. Oh, okay, let's see. We're going to put you in quarantine for the 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, we'll see if there's any sort of thing going on with you. We start having communities, we spread out. We go from either centered in to edge, or we go from edge, centered in, whatever, however you want to see fit that's workable for you. And the most effective way you could sweep to get everybody who's been social distance. I feel like center to edge actually would have been more effective, because then it's like you can get that community. They could start navigating and going certain places. Persons to them there in those certain communities. I don't know. It really depends, or at least get the essential workers and start testing them and then doing that. There's so much ways they could have went about this instead of just keeping it as it is and then having this fear-mongering sort of tactic in people where there is nothing you can do. You have to stay home. You have to be against your will. I feel like you're violating people's constitution last I check. And this has to be something to prove that actually fits like a justification that this was a necessity of a shutdown. Just have to really prove that, I came across some persons who said you can't really sue him, this kind of thing, but I'll get into that detail real soon. So just let me continue. My thing of it is, you could have put all those methods in place where you could have started testing the communities, make them whether they're COVID-19 free or whether they were someone who, okay, these persons are quarantined. This person is more susceptible. How many elderlies do you have in your family? Okay, they are going to have to be heavily protected. They're going to have to stay home the most. You guys seem like you're already immune or develop antibodies, or you're most healthy where you haven't susceptible to disease yet. You guys can actually get out there, and you could start interacting or something. Or, you know what? We can put something in place where your job could work with this kind of thing, in this environment, and you could work something instead of just having where, our job, the business here is we can't do anything for all our workers to work all online. The only ones who could do that are just executives and managers. That's just it, but they got nothing to manage or be of any sort of, of like a person who's just doing anything to coordinate a business. They're not doing anything like that. They're freaking non-essential, if anything. The workers themselves are actually more essential because they're the ones that are making more of the momentum work for the business. So a manager being there just really is something that's redundant, but that's not my point. What I'm trying to say, my point of it saying is you would have persons like those as managers, whatever, or like top tier among tier of executives who could actually work home remotely and stuff and wouldn't really get a lot of work done, but whatever. It still shows some results in which they're making, sure. But then the other persons in them who have to do more of the legwork, they themselves are fitted are dubbed as an essential and non-essential workers. Where, we're not going to need you right now. You might have to get laid off. We might not even tell you to get laid off. You're just going to be home and, just when things go back up, like basically straight up, oh yeah, you don't really work here like that anymore, because we don't have a necessity for you anymore. We had to cut those expenses, so henceforth you've been laid off, people in them have to file for that. And who knows how long that'll be until you get that official statement. The point is, if you ain't working after a week, buddy, and you're supposed to be in for work, usually you're out of a job. Okay. I've known many persons that's happened to. And I've seen many persons that's been making constant reports about it. And you could see for 30 million people in America that file for unemployment. Here in the country I'm at, I'm pretty sure I know more, this is actually scary though, but I know for sure more than 100,000 people have filed for unemployment, or 140,000 for sure have filed for unemployment out of a population of 400,000. That's over 25% of people already filed for unemployment. It may go up in scale to about 50%. I already predicted, I think since in February, I have some of my work available on luckynes.com. We'll actually show you that. I know I have some of it archived, but for the most part, a lot of persons in them, the businesses, they're not going to recover from this. And even when they do open back up for some of the business that does survive, it won't be the same anymore. People are trying to anticipate and believing that we're going to try and put some things in place. It's not going to be the same anymore. If it's in dealing with leisure travel, if it's to deal with, I guess, with restaurants are showing everything. Even I think transportation itself, like, is going to be an overstock abundance of oil, where persons in them, of course, it'll be much cheaper for gas, right? But people won't have much of a what's the word I'm looking for? A necessity to like just be traveling like that, burning just fuel to get anywhere, when you don't have to do that anymore. Where now persons in them are more, a lot of businesses are more incentivized to where they have to work at home for the rest of this year. If anything, for the rest probably 2 to 3 years from now, until a whole vaccination come in place that's legally and officially like approved. You see, that's going to have to happen, and a lot of businesses can't wait for that. They're trying to find ways to survive. Plenty of them aren't going to find ways. Like, they're going to try, but it's going to fail based on their practices they've done before. And we're creatures of habits. We do things from From day 1 to year 7, we will not break out of that habit. If something catastrophic happened, we have to fight that programming in order to proceed through. But you have to already have some like instinct of saying, okay, I need to adjust or I need to improve drastically to overcome this. If you don't have not even a scrimp of like a characteristic in that, then dude, you're done. There's nothing you can do, especially how you didn't even prepare for this. And people kept saying we were in this good economy and everything. And the economy was never great. It was never, ever great. I don't know why people kept saying it was. I don't know why you kept drinking the Kool-Aid, believing these people, especially when it comes to the media news, about the stock market is at an all-time high, and you got screwed. Like, I was paying attention to everything as much as I could to the news. Not everything, but just the necessary details I need in order to know. All of that was fugacious. It was all made up, and you fell for it, you know? I don't think you have enough time right now or any time right now to wallow in despair and feeling like you've been deceived or feeling confused. You don't have any time for that right now. What you need to do right now is buckle down and move forward right now and to learn your lesson from what happened. You need to start reflecting on what was going on. You need to try and understand more and saying, okay, so if all of it was truly fake, which it was, because as you can see, only closing down for an economy of like many businesses and countries around the world, you could see that 2 months in already, we already ran out of so much money, the Federal Reserve had to actually start printing more money in like a lot of countries. The United States already is over 2 trillion. Over 2 trillion. And banks already ran out of money. By banks, I'm not talking about the Federal Reserve Bank, I'm talking about the nationals and the commercials. So right now your government or whoever's government in whatever country you're in listening has to find ways to work with the feds if they have a very well accredited credit ratings to show competency that they'll pay back the debt they take on by printing the money that they could demand. They can't get the money that they print in demand, then the bank's only going to give them the X amount that they will decide that they will give the government. You know, it's not the other way around. And it's either they get that or they get nothing. So that's how that's going to be working there. Every country's trying to do it. I think our country's trying to do it too. I don't think we're going to really get it a lot. The necessity of what our country would need, I'd say about maybe 10, 20 billion. Yeah, 10, 20 billion. I'd say what we need to recover like drastically and start putting in investments that are diversified. That's the only way how I'd see it. At least a minimum of like 10 to 20 billion. And we still need persons who are competent, more than competent, not listed, more than competent as entrepreneurs to actually get that stuff done. On the other hand, for the United States, now for them, when they're printing out all that cash, like, well, they can get the amount they want. They can get the amount they want. The difference is with countries like ours, we can't because we have a very horrible, like, it is like junk bond status, like that. As in, like, look at an investor, you're like, what the hell is this I'm looking at? Your shit's like a 240 right now. As a credit score, I'm sure a lot of Americans know. As a credit score, I'm looking at a 240. I'm like, you want me to lend you $500,000? No. If you can get like a 640 or something, but 240, no. 640, we'll probably talk about giving you half of what you demand. Probably talk about that. Or you might get a decent enough to where, like, I could give you a quarter of that. But other than that, can't give you that. I could probably give you half of what you demand. And that's what's going to happen. Because due to your track record, it shows that you have incompetency, you know, especially if what's going on with this whole collapse. And there's more details to it right now, but I don't feel like having to extend much of that, talking about what's going to go on for the wealthy persons. No, we're going to focus on the persons who are Borgianus, that's how you pronounce it. Probably butchered that word. What means middle class, and what's the word I'm looking for? Poor class, basically. I don't like calling them that, but that's what they are. You're only as poor as you leave your mindset. But those amount of persons are the ones who are most like about to suffer like pools of blood Like, it's not even funny. I can't even laugh because of the ignorance and sheer gullibility that they fell for. I can't even laugh at it. That's how bad I see that this shit is gonna be for a lot of people. That's how bad it is. You know, sink with that for a second. Let it marinate too. There's so much there's so much opportunity in it. I see that people if some portion of them are like have been preparing and just the enough amount, they could make it. The rest, on the other hand, are going to be killing themselves. They're going to be killing each other. Suicide rate's going to go up. Domestic violence is going to explode. You're going to be having a lot of persons. All I can tell you is you're going to want to keep your purse close to you, very close to you. And everyone's got an excuse of a mask on now because they got a social distance. So they can come right at you and take a lot of your things. They can invade your homes when you're sleeping. That's a very, very dangerous thing that's going to be happening. It is scary, you know, because you could be making money still, but people are going to be watching you. These are people at the end, is what I see. But the media and the government are going to dub them as criminals. And that's going to have them justify to criminalizing their citizens without even trying to give them any sort of sympathy, to let them know that they're trying to survive. That's how serious this thing is, you know? And because of that shutdown that happened for longer than we should have anticipated it been, which was stupid, it is going to cause more mayhem, more than what that virus could have done. And you could have done that mathematically because it still hasn't even hit 1% to this day yet out of an entire world. I've seen on the news that they've actually removed, or so what I'm looking for, could say censored. They've censored the recovery set of cases on this whole corona situation. I'm like, you're focusing on over 200,000 people dead, demise, deceased, whatever, on COVID-19. So they state, although they never had the autopsy or the coroner look at it, but sure, so they state. Then you have where you've got all these cases of people who've recovered since, where it's like, it makes me be like, do I have to recheck the definition of recovered? Because why would you remove that? Like on the news media now, not the organizations of a lot of health officials. Understand? Health officials, where you can check out their sources of like organizations where in the health community and even for the nonprofits where you see, okay, here are the cases. Over 1 million people have recovered. Over 1 million people. They show just about a month ago, COVID-19 had over 1 million people infected. Okay, great. But they didn't even bother just about a week and a half or 2 weeks from now, by the time this is released. They didn't even show, hey, 1 million people has recovered from COVID-19. And I felt like I saw that they weren't going to report that. I know they weren't going to report that. They were not going to report the efforts. A lot of doctors, a lot of persons in them who are self-educated enough to show that they've kept their immune system built. Health officials been having, doing the best they can to help people recover from this, and they have. It's like a big F you to the face that they won't even try and show that for their efforts. It kind of is. I feel like, because you've had like, I'll leave the links to in the description. You've had like 105 or 9, I think 109-year-old lady survived COVID-19. A 92-year-old lady who survived COVID-19. Another lady who's like 98, I think, who survived COVID-19. Bunch of elderly, I'm not saying like now it's not, so what I'm looking for. It's not belittling the sense of how not too deadly this disease is. So that has been proclaimed. But to simply ignore the sense that persons like them have recovered and you just simply censored it off for your audience to know, you would be, that's a practice of like, and I can't remember the official terminology of what it is, but that's a practice of you technically deceiving the public, because then now you're withholding a certain of information from them when you're supposed to be stating that we uncover the truth and facts, but you don't somehow praise the fact or the additional or the full information of what is happening here. You know, it's like you want to report that you want to report about orange juice, but you won't put up the effects of it. You'll only talk about the malefactors or the bad health, the bad health reports of what oranges do to you. You won't even talk about the benefits of it, and how many people it's helped over time, like that. Like you want to talk about it being vitamin C and everything like that. You want to talk about that information. Like I find that very interesting. What people deem, or shall I say the media, how people deeming these persons they look to as experts. And I still haven't seen not one mathematician, not even a physicist, or even a epigenetic practitioners or like true experts or even like officials come on board to have more of a analytical assessment of how this virus like works. It's organized, it's past cases, all that stuff. They call them scientists, and I hate when people generalize you calling them a scientist. I don't like when people call them scientists. I've never known not one like legitimate professional practitioner in the arts of science or like the practice itself identify themselves as a scientist. Never once I've heard them that. Only I've heard people like the media would identify them as a scientist, but I never heard them in my life said that shit. Maybe like one or two persons, I don't know. Maybe I can assume, although I don't like to do assumptions, but I can assume maybe one or two said it. But I've never heard them. I said they identify themselves as scientists. Anyone that does, full of shit, bullshit. I don't do the whole generalized thing. It's like you're calling Mary Curry a scientist when it's like, what is it to be a scientist? What is the definition of what is the definition of science? What makes them a scientist? What fits generalization over specialization? Like for you to call a doctor who's looking at diseases and you're calling in a cardiologist or a gynecologist, you're calling them on the front lines to look at something. And I'm trying to figure out how does a heart doctor or a doctor that looks at the female reproductive system, or even a cardiovascular, someone just look at the blood system or the circulatory system. How is it that they, what's the word I'm looking for? How is it that they are relevant to? How is it that they are relevant to? How is it that they are relevant to where they're looking at diseases, pathogens, microorganisms, microbes of any sort? How could they be the expert in leading in that sort of thing? Or when it comes to them speaking in terms of immunology, being a biologist and stuff, and have never really looked at a patient. And yeah, that's fine that they're an epidemiologist. Okay, I get it. Cool. That's nice. Making sure that the environment and all that stuff's not harmful to cause some sort of widespread of like a fatal disease that could be, a respiratory disease that could cause some sort of catastrophic effect that's gonna cause all sort of like horrible like mischief on the human race. Like I get that. Cool. Okay, great. My thing is though, it's like, how is it that you're the only one leading in this when it's supposed to be a team of specialists who in this division makes up a group of experts, or a scientific, which would, be the actual justification or the actual fitted meaning of what's it like to have a team of people who are scientific, or this is the scientists here, not a scientist, but scientists themselves, where you have one in each field who are an expert, where here's the heart surgeon, here's the brain surgeon, here's the disease expert or, practitioner, whatever. Here's the researcher, all that, etc. Those are the team of what you call scientists. But instead, you have the media dub one or a few persons in like one exact same field or a branch of that same field dubbed as a scientist. And I just find that like it's so dangerous to call them that word and just dub them as experts. Like, I don't understand, or even set of generalists. Like, I don't get that. Like, that doesn't really fit much, but people really fall for it and agree with them on it. It's the same thing with the whole climatology nonsense, with something else in regards, but I don't feel like really going much in discussion with that. And it's the whole effect of it causes so many people to really fall for so much of the Kool-Aid and what they call, and this thing, like when I get in conversations with some people and like come to find out who are like a part in my circle where like they believe in these medias for what they're saying. I'm like, they even believed in them like 5-10 years ago, talking about UFOs were not a thing. It was fake, and these people are conspiracy theorists. Now it comes to the point when the United States government reveal that UFOs are legit, and guess what? Now people dub them as researchers. I'm like, after so many must have been convicted, so many must have tainted their careers, and lost because of it. Now it's come to a point where it's like, what? Now they're researchers. Now what? What's going on there? What happened? Where's the compensation? I feel like some should really look into like saying, hey, you know what? I need to file a lawsuit on some of the persons who's going to lead to cost me getting incarcerated, or cost me my job, or cost me my reputation for something I knew was correct. Although there is some debate on what they could have stated that could have been more concrete evidence that they could present it that couldn't state facts, say that, that right there is concrete evidence to show that this is something we've never seen before, to show it as really standing support for their claims. So, like I said, that one could go into a hell of a discussion. I don't know, but I'd say they need to talk to a lawyer, talk to some attorney. I don't know. This thing here, though, what's going on, this whole thing with the lockdown, a lot of people need to talk to their attorneys, and a lot of people need to talk to some politicians. Because this whole thing, they can't get away with this. I think you can't sue a government body. I am not an expert when it comes to law and attorney. I just want to give you that this disclosure as a discretion. And I do recall, when I was looking up some things in the law book, you can actually, you could take them to law. There are some persons actually taking people to law now. I can't recall the name drops to them. I think I could recall some. So I think one was Simon Dolan. I think it's Simon Dolan. It's launched like a whole legal challenge, which will like evaluate, the whole restrictions from like the whole contravene with the European Convention of Human Rights. It covers the rights of liberty, family life, education, and property. So, for Dylan himself, he's going to be requesting, I guess, I don't know, something or some sort of like thesis of like the Scientific Advisory Group of Emergencies for like a meeting around this year. So he's gonna do something like that. He's basically gonna sue the government. I can't remember which of the government was it? Yeah, with the so he's going to be taking, I think, the United Kingdom's government. I don't know. It's a whole like dispute between him and Boris Johnson. It was like in reports or something. I think it's on the Guardian and the Expression. I'll leave the links. I cannot believe it's been 2 weeks since that happened. Like I feel like that just happened like a couple of days ago. Wow, time really goes fast. People like him. And I think also it was Elon Musk. I think he's suing California's government or something. I don't know, something to do with his Tesla cars or whatever. People are hating on him for it. I don't know. Like again, I'm not defending these people. I can't believe we have to live in this world where we literally have to state a defense over literally people's insinuations of what your what's the word I'm looking for? Like your expression. You know, they have to insinuate that you stated something rather than actually ask to confirm. It's so ridiculous. We live in that kind of time. It's like, wow. It's like, I mean, I got no feelings. I got no sensations to that. Like, I laugh at that kind of stuff all the time. It's just, wow. I just can't believe people, like, we literally live in a world where it's just a lot of people are not using their brains. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's crazy. So a lot just jumps the gun on the conclusion. And I think like how people I think even like Ty Lopez was just mentioning when I saw one of his new videos got released, they were brainstorming and he was explaining something about how most people or the majority actually makes decisions based on their emotions, while a minority are more making logical decisions. You know, and it's not because they're logical and these people are emotional. It's that these people who are in the minority side of things, they are, that's what I'm looking for. They know how, they already have a sense of controlling their emotions. They have no need to really be so over emotional to make a purchase. They don't have to buy in an emotional way. They could just simply buy. And that's the end of that, you know? But instead, you have a lot of people who don't know how to control it. They don't know how to be or places themselves in a discipline of being stoic. You know, just place themselves in a self-discipline of not having to get, what's the word I'm looking for? Okay, guys, welcome back to Talks and Emmy Show. This is your trusted host, Shaq Maverick. And we have here our guest today is Dylan, a aspiring artist himself who's traveled across many countries. He's here today with us to talk about the mental health. You know, we're gonna have a lot of discussion, everything about the issue, especially what's going on with the corona, shutdown and how it's affecting our lives. And everything else. So we'll dive down into our conversation and we'll continue from here. So Dylan, say hi to the audience. Yeah.
Hi, audience.
Okay, there you go. He's got a hell of a sense of humor. This guy, it's like a hot shot. Okay, so we were diving into our discussion about mainly a lot of things with the corona, mainly a lot of things with how it'll be affecting a lot of people's lives. We talked about on how it's going to be an interesting take. We're on uncharted territory where...
I'm absolutely not professional in any of this. I'm just an artist, a plebeian, if you will, but definitely an artist. And I know a thing or two about how people tick.
He's something else. He's just being modest. So yeah, like we're diving back in. We're talking also about with money, so we're gonna dive back into it. So yeah, continuing on, it's the reason because so many people they've forgotten in that whole situation. I explained with the Looney Tunes. And other cartoons, how they explain the value of gold and all other stuff and how it's industrial. So you're using your phone if you want. You take your phone apart, it's in your motherboard. You could still use that. It's the same in games, computers, all sorts of stuff. Including like the iPhones too. They got plenty of them which people can sell. They scrap them for parts.
You can take gold apart. Take gold apart and get motherboards out of it.
You could take the circuit. You could take your motherboard apart, and you can get the golds from that. The gold components. You see? That's in like
gold. So there's gold in my computer.
Yeah.
Oh man, can you take 5 minutes out of your podcast for me to check something real quick?
Sure. If you're fast like Barry Allen, sure, yeah, if you can get that, it might not even take you 5 minutes. It might take you shorter. Who knows? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Flash can take apart the world in 5 minutes.
Yeah. So you need that because it's a heavy, like, it's like a transition conductor, if I recall correctly, in chemistry, where, you know, high power of like electricity can surge through that and it can handle it. They tried using it with like other materials before in the past, but they wasn't holding up. I think like silver.
I heard the Hadron Collider uses gold particles for its experiments.
Say that again?
The Hadron Collider in Switzerland, the largest machine ever built. The atom smasher, it smashes gold atoms together or something like that.
Oh, nice. Cool. I can write that one down. When you say Hadron item, I need to look that one up.
Hadron Collider.
Hadron Collider.
Hadron. No way. Hadron. Yeah. Largest machine in the world. Guinness Book of Records recognized. And yeah, they throw gold particles together.
That is pretty sick. That was nice.
Because gold is...
Almost want to change it like a science show. Just how I didn't even know you had that sort of like background entirely.
Yeah, there you go. The first like legitimate scientific fact on the show. And Maverick Jack is like, whoa, we should make this a science show. Yeah. That's how the mind of Shaq works, baby.
I could drop you like an infinite amount of facts if you want. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, man. It's like people ahead of their times back then too. That's what really I wanted to actually talk about today too, mainly.
Well, sure, ahead of your time, that's for sure.
Yeah. I was too young to remember it, but that's besides the point. What I'm saying is that's really I actually wanted to talk about on one of my episodes before I was actually gonna like have the whole hosting with you. Where we were supposed to talk about many of the fakes and so-called fakes out there. People in them will call themselves these experts or, you know, dub as, you know, people can look to as fact checkers, but then they're not really holding up a lot of evidence to what they say as their facts. Like, you've seen a lot of that, right?
Well, I've seen David Icke.
He's one.
Yeah, your friend David Icke, your favorite. That's the one you go to the wiki for every day.
My mate? It's not my mate, chap. It's not mine.
My mate, chap.
Yeah. I think that's how you use it in terms that you Brits understand. You know?
Right. I mean, when you say it's cringy, but, you know, good enough. You get in there.
Yeah.
Continue.
He has a lot of interesting insight on some things, and he has quite some journalism down. Again, don't agree with everything he says, you know. It's just when it comes to him stating some things, it'd be interesting, and you got to take it in context.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's like seeing a monkey use a typewriter. It's got that same kind of appeal. But what about the other doctors you're talking about? The illegitimate folks that you're bound with.
Well, how do you want to go into this? You want to go into talking about all the fakes first and then
you know that like when it comes to these sort of paranoid situations, the market plays a huge part of it, right? You know, they're going to want you to be more paranoid about it because then you're buying more placebos, for example. You know, basically more, you know, more paranoid. It sells, you know.
It does.
Brings people together in a way that makes them more tangible, I guess you could say. So I imagine there would be a lot of illegitimate resources and reports going around about this thing.
Yeah, it's been so blown out of proportion, you know, or let's give like another example to something like that, where
blown out of proportion.
where it's something as where it doesn't it isn't as that sort of a big of a scale as they make it, you know?
Well, maybe that's true. I'm personally against the counter rumor that the whole pandemic, the virus, isn't as dangerous as people say it is. I think that's a bad mindset to have personally, because it is doing quite a lot of damage. But I imagine people are manipulating that in a way. Yeah. In situations like this, usually I think people are more fearful than it's good for, when really you just want to be paranoid in a safe way.
Basically. And it's like to a point where it's like people are flocking over to these medias and they're talking. Well, the media are conveying messages to them saying, we've got reports from experts, you know, we've got the cases, you know, or according to a study, you know, but they can't ever name drop or give someone who's like validated, who's probably independent, rather than someone who's, it's not that based on their experience, but based on their credibility, you know? They would talk about someone like, well, Day State is someone they've known about for a very long time, but through like what community exactly that recognizes them as someone who's popular, you know? That's right. And then even people who probably aren't even popular, or actually there have been some doctors who aren't even popular, have like validated that this person has a credibility that's world renowned, you know, although I still say like, I haven't heard it, but then again, I'm not much in the medical field.
So who would you consider to be credible sources?
Looking at that, I like how you brought it up. It's just, looking at that though, like, let's layer back, right? Before I give you who they are, right? Let's layer back from time to find out what makes something credible and what makes something research, right? So let's see. We started off with knowing about when people say, look at the science, right? Okay. I don't like when people use science like that as a term. You know, they just throw it like that.
Use science. Yeah. Science. It's fantastic.
Science. It's the facts. Like, okay. So for science, it's just that being a term, not an adjective. You know, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, verb. Verb? But yeah. Verb is an action. Adjective is a description.
Right.
Adjective is like your stupid face, you know.
Okay.
Or and a verb is I punch you in the face.
Okay. Yeah. So for science, it's an option.
Those aren't even like just random examples. Those are like real truths that I gave there. You know, got a stupid face. I want to punch it.
Okay. I think that. So my thing is of it though, science itself, it's an observation. So that makes that a verb, or is that like what?
What? Sorry.
It's like an observation of what matter is. You know, that's just basically what science is. And what's our predictability and how we measure it. That's basically what science is.
You know? Well, yeah, sure. If you want to put it in hyper layman's, yeah, why not?
Basically. And then, yeah, so the way how people throw it in that kind of term. So let's
case in point.
Further like expand that, further look into that and saying, okay, so what makes up how do I like do science? People are gonna ask like that. How do I do science? People are gonna basically say that, you know. Even though you're inherent, trust me, they'd say it just like that. So we'd look at, let's say, right, you're getting data or you're getting information of something that's happened. Mm-hmm. And this thing that's happened, you need to find out what's the cause. Why did this happen? What made this possible? What could have been worse for this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Has it been worse? You know what I'm saying? You're layering out those pieces of information, you know, in like columns or whatever. And then you gotta fit all of that into data where, okay, now I have the assessment. Now I need to see what can I do with this in order to solve a problem. The problem is this got busted or this can't get repaired. So what do? We go to some more further analysis and let's start looking for different techniques, you know, something different to make out in order to find a conclusion that's workable for both ends.
Right. I think you're trying to like bring up the scientific method there. I mean, you ask the questions, you make the hypothesis, give it a little description. Maybe the description comes before hypothesis. I'm not too sure.
Mm-hmm.
But then you do the tests, yada yada.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I can't believe I didn't simplify it like that, but yeah, basically.
I had the courtesy to bring my science book to work today. So yeah.
Okay, I'm just running on top of my head, just keeping it simple as best I could for people. So it's very difficult, and I'm trying to scroll this thing. So okay, so let's look at some people who've been doing stuff like that, right? Let me just name drop you some of the ones I know who I can. No, not yet. Let's look at Louis Pasteur. You have heard of him before?
Louis
Pasteur. Is that how you pronounce it?
Did he invent spaghetti?
No. No. Okay, so he was French, and he was a biologist.
Oh, you don't say.
Oh, yes. Oui, I do. Yeah. Fuck French. I hate French. So,
just random.
So, he is a microbiologist and as well as a chemist, Now, he was known for his discovery in the principles of vaccination, He had microbial fermentation and pasteurization. That's the stuff what helps make evaporated milk.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Right. He came across microbes where it itself, if you could store it certain temperature, it for milk, it has that, because milk is just milk. It does have microbes in it, right?
Yeah, the air has microbes in it. That's why food decomposes, stuff like that.
That too. I'm just saying, because it's like a secret, like it came from a cow or whatever. Women themselves, they also produce milk as well.
Yes, I imagine.
Yeah, so glands and all that other shit. So just a gland itself, that's just, something drinkable. Now, for babies, they needed, I'm not going to go into all the details part. The point of it being was he found out that it itself was having its own microbe. And he made a breakthrough on finding how, these causes of how this certain disease came about, right? And then he figured some sort of prevention, where, okay, this isn't for everybody. And pretty sure he stated that clearly. This is something for where he could make this for people who are susceptible to this sort of disease, So
was he like a pioneer for vaccinations?
Yeah, but that is him. That's him. I'm trying to get into that. Right. So his discovery saved many lives because of that. He saved even a little boy's life, I think a 9-year-old child, from rabies. And he found a vaccine for that,
Oh, he made the first rabies vaccine. That's right.
Yeah, him, Louis Pasteur. God, I'm pretty sure I butchered his last name. I'm sorry for people in French, but I don't care.
But continue.
Yeah, so he did something where he had to go and analyze and look at these microbes. And this was before you even could have find exactly that we knew the existence of microbes, because we've only discovered viruses for about 130 years,
Yeah, crazy, right?
Exactly. Oh, I like how you know that. There are not a lot of people who's even trying to look at that, So he did a lot of the data analysis and everything to find something that could do this, where, okay, something where I can get an antibodies from someone, extract it from them who survived this virus, and then inoculate that other person who isn't as strong to it.
Right.
Now, not to someone who already has it, because there's someone who can prevent it. The point is, do you want to prevent the virus? Not someone who already has it. If they already have it, they might have to battle it out. That's how you.
So in relation to the modern scientists there that CNN is pulling in for the day to talk about the how to deal with the latest big bad virus, coronavirus.
Right.
How does this pertain? You think some of that science has been lost over the years?
I'd say it's been what's the word I'm looking for? Tuned out, to fit like a certain
Tuned out.
Yeah. Like it's still there, but I think people are trying to pivot that narrative to where you should listen to this.
Oh no, science isn't a narrative, buddy. So what do you mean?
You can control a narrative in things. It's the same thing I was explaining about with finance. They do the same thing in banks. A lot. Like a lot. Okay.
Right. I don't remember that part, but continue with the science.
Yeah. So the media now, because I don't know who dubbed them as experts. They're supposed to be the reporters that are speaking about something else, but we'll go into that later. They want to have that narrative of where, instead of talking about that factual thing, let's do this because this would really make people react about our information. It would sell, They want to do that sort of thing. Because, and this also affects people where, okay, you have even some nurses and health officials, not necessarily doctors they are, just people who are like C-level kind of doctors. You know what I
mean? Right.
Because you have doctor, the one who actually knows what he's doing.
Yes. Good. Yes, get to the point.
My point being is you have these people who are below level who don't know what they're doing or don't know the entire details, watching the media for their source of information of what's being uncovered. And that causes a confusion where people dub this person an expert when they're not even the A-level type of doctor. That's not what they're called, but you get them.
Who do you think is at fault here? Do you think it's the media, it's the people for perceiving it and not being able to distinguish right from wrong?
I'd definitely say I think it's because people granted the media too much authority of information given to them. Like,
you can say that's been a problem for quite some time. I mean, there's plenty. I don't know. The media has a really
look what they did with Trump. I think it's because everyone got into the gossip of what's going on with Trump for the past years of his presidency, and from when he was running as president, people have always flocked to these medias and grant them what's factual to them, like Fox, CNN, all of them. Like, what's Trump doing today? What's Trump doing this? Trump did this. Oh my God, Trump! And everyone's on the that emotional gossip of what's going on. Then they go listen to those medias again about another situation. Then they try to make Trump relevant into it. The president didn't try and heed the warning. This. Well, they don't even say that. They just say Trump. They don't even try to respect the guy.
I mean, that's the thing everywhere. Even in our own little tiny little island like this, we're blaming the government for everyone that stubs their toe and all that. So that gets around for sure.
That's crazy. I don't watch media like that unless it's American news much. Okay. So that's something general. Well, that's the issue though. Like, I think it's a psychological thing. So I do have some background in psychology a little bit, instinctively mostly, and it's annoying. It's a thing just when people use this like a crutch. Like, people seek a comfort in how they want things done for them, where if it's the most easiest and most simple, over time, they become very comfortable with it or complacent. They make
law of pragnance, baby.
Say again?
Law of pragnance. It's a psychological term, meaning the brain will seek the easiest form of stimulus.
Oh, damn. A walking encyclopedia.
Although that might have to do with perception, structuralism. But anyway, continue.
Right. So,
but what do you mean exactly? People are seeking the easiest thing done for them. Are you saying that, like, when they're watching the media and all that, they're more quick to believe the media because of what the resources being provided there are easier than reading an entire article, like on Louise Pasteur, for example.
Mm-hmm. Right. So we're like,
I definitely butcher that name, Louise Pasteur. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you're closer. Who knows? Yeah. It's for us as creatures or whatever kind of beings or species.
Well, I'm not a creature, but carry on.
Right. Species. It's just for us. It's like where if you feel like something is working and things are going steady and whatever, Why would I try to really, say, go the extra envelope or feel pressure into actually wanting to make some changes to it when I can just keep that running as long as it's been? It hasn't stirred me wrong so far. So I believe, based on the perception, you know, and it costs so many people more than ever now to be so divided. Like, people aren't like really together as what they state they are. You know, like, we're actually more divided than ever. I think.
What do you mean in our history?
Like, people aren't even. It's so different now. I think from since the 40s or even further than that. Well, 60s, sorry.
Like, you sound like an old man right now, dude.
Based on what I've seen on documentaries and movies and stuff, like, people are kind of more banded together, where everyone wanted to.
I think that's very subjective. I think on a grand scale, the world is. I mean, there's plenty of like hundreds, thousands more settlements nowadays that are dependent on trade and such things as that. We're more aware of how things go on in other countries. I don't think it's fair to say that we're more disconnected than ever, because there's that sense of looking at it.
I wouldn't say
you could argue that things like nuclear families have been breaking down considerably.
Like, okay, like when it comes to, say, voting, that kind of thing, or even when it comes to, like, say, having to have an opinion over something, where someone gonna want to immediately simply not even look to further, like, making, a better judgment before they state that this is something that shouldn't be looked into a little further. Like, you dub this person as crazy immediately, and then they think because they have a mass following, they think you're following someone who's being irresponsible and reckless.
And you're saying it was less so in the 40s.
Well, I mean, look at what happened with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, just as an example.
Or even what happened to them? They got killed.
Well, yeah, that's some dispute there. I don't remember the details entirely of how.
You don't remember the details of whether they got killed or not?
No, of how that happened. I meant like what was the agenda for doing that entirely? I don't.
Well, probably. I mean, I think at least in one.
I could say for Malcolm, but I can't say for Martin.
Definitely some racist nuts on the ground level. Maybe more to it than that.
Conservative. I can't say for Martin Luther King, but Malcolm X, I know much because his autobiography I've read and some documentaries.
But anyway, so you're saying the people back in the day, back in the 40s, whatnot, were more informed on their decision when they were voting?
Like, it was more of a matter of like, okay, like, look what happened with like the movements they did. People was like banding together more to support what they were doing, even further beyond that. I think with what's his name, Booker T. Washington, like Harvard University even accepted him for, I guess, all of his merits of what he did at his own institution, trained a lot of young men himself, delivered an oratoire, is what they call it, or orator, at their, what do they call that? Whatever they call that, university eating or something like that. And when he did that,
I'm sure.
Yeah, this is a long podcast. When he did that, they awarded him a Master's of Art degree, I think, or Masters of Art.
I mean, that's great and all that, but plenty of people band together nowadays anyway. I mean, Greta Thunberg, I'm gonna butcher that name. Greta Thunberg, the European young girl, just smallest person you can imagine. She's leading, lots and lots of people in her school protests, today. We still have plenty of protests nowadays. It's possible a lot of it happens digitally too,
Mm.
I will say maybe when voting happens now, there's more fingers in the pie. I don't know if that's a good analogy. There's just more. The denominator is a lot greater nowadays. It's just a lot more people now. You got more stupid people. You got more, people that can make informed decisions nowadays.
Right, and that's the thing I'm talking about there. Like, because of them being informed by like something like the media that they grant so much control of, and they swear that they dub are as experts, and that's an issue because their track record don't say how they've been very credible. One as a source, like you heard the thing what happened to UFOs, right? Like they actually admit that stuff is real now. I'm like, oh, so now it's real, but you guys been dubbing these conspiracy theorists as fierce, and now they're considered researchers because now.
So they're saying, wait, what? It's a bit of a bomb. UFOs are real now.
Yeah, you didn't see that? Yeah, man. The United States government, they just released like 2 weeks, I think. It's almost going on 2 weeks now, that they've actually had their firefighters found UFOs. Like,
holy,
see that video? That went viral, dude. Like 10, 20 million.
Well, I'm not checking. So, like, I haven't. Sorry, I've fallen behind on keeping up with whether UFOs are real.
No, it just came out of nowhere. That's all. Like it was just on CNN and stuff. So you know what I mean. And other news medias too.
Right.
It didn't surprise me because I felt like, of course, I wouldn't say aliens. Like it don't prove that aliens exist. We don't know what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's all we could state.
So wait. So what point was that proving?
That was proving like how they themselves dubbed the people who were ahead of the time of coming across something. The United States government themselves and the media didn't want to admit was true. They stated that they were fake or they're crazies, you know? Oh, and then come to find out years later after like probably making so many people went in jail and costing them their own careers, you know what I'm saying? And ruin their images.
So you're using UFO.
They're calling them not crazy.
UFO sighters as to prove your point.
No, I still got plenty of other examples. Look at the same situation with marijuana between and United States. Dude, that stuff was always legal since World War One, before World War One. They made it illegal, and FBI and CIA even admitted that they only made it illegal due to discrimination of the minority or black people, basically.
Yeah.
And they admitted, they also, and people asked them, or the reporter asked them, did you know what you were doing? And they said, and I quote, of course we did. Think about that.
At least he had confidence. You don't want a guy.
That's the director of the CIA who stayed that, got confidence. That's pretty messed up, man. So they make it legal again.
Would you rather say, no, we don't know what we're doing. I'm an idiot. Watch me go smash this wooden hammer on my head right now.
My thing is, if it is just to do that kind of thing, and then you have people believing in the lie, that's also a problem.
Anyway, so what's your point? So some like illegitimate reporters nowadays, this illegitimate media, stuff like that.
A lot of like reckless.
I think we should be listening to the UFO sighters and all that. UFO.
It's not that. It's like when someone is making a claim, you don't want to simply immediately dismiss it. You want to actually further look.
Okay, what are you saying right now? You're saying people You're saying people should be more open to what they hear, or people should filter out what they hear? Because last thing I heard was that people aren't making
filter out exactly on which someone is giving them a message to. Like if someone claims there's a spaghetti monster in the sky, I'm not saying simply to believe it, but to simply dismiss it without having the actual have evidence to prove that he's crazy or that shit is made up. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. Let's see the sky. Okay. There's nothing there. Let's see the second thing. There's nothing that we can detect and measure that it even exists. What's the third thing? Let me see. All right. It's a figment of your imagination. You know what I'm saying? You want to go that kind of route instead of just immediately dismiss it.
Well,
because they sound crazy saying spaghetti monsters in the sky.
I mean, that's what ad hoc hypothesis is for. Right? It's when you add little extra details to sort of prevent anyone from being able to prove something wrong. You know, it's like when you say that the leprechaun can turn invisible when people do happen to look in its direction.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's like a fail-safe. You know, but
in some way, yeah. That's why I said when looking at the science of how things are done, you have where you make a thesis. That thesis as your hypothesis becomes a theory. That theory itself having backing evidence. And
how does a person determine, or how does a person tell if something is real or not? How can the average person tell what is real and what isn't?
A self-evident truth. That's called an axiom in mathematics. axioms are self-evident truth. So it's something that
Can you explain that to the average person?
Yeah, so it's something that
explain to me?
it's something. I'm getting to it. It's something that would already existed long before you even had to knew that it was something you state is real. That's why they call it discoveries. There was never someone who stated I created this, because in the principle of physics, or the main principle of physics is matter cannot be destroyed nor created, only changed. It's the same thing for energy as well. And it's the same thing when it comes to, well, anyway, I'll go to that part later. But yeah, that's a principle in physics for both matter.
Right. That was a bit of a trippy little diversion right there. Yeah. Basically, everything that can exist to be discovered, it's there. It's just waiting to be discovered. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, waiting to be discovered. It's either discovered or not discovered.
Yeah, that is true. It's just that stuff can get lost in translation, I guess, when it reaches certain people's minds,
I'll say that depending on, again, the context. And that's another issue too, where a lot of people are taking things out of context. What people say, the media does that a lot when it comes to wanting to favor a side for someone.
People have been doing that with the Bible for years, boy.
True that. No, amen to that, bro. They would do the same a lot. And I try to defend Trump, but they would do that to Trump too. Because I like to look at both sides. I see Foxes do that sometimes a lot, and same with CNN exactly.
Right.
Where if Trump said something, and I name dropped that in one of my videos for Polyethnics library. That's what different channel I'm doing. And it was talking about how he made a claim about something. And when he made that claim, I didn't take him seriously, because I felt like there was some sort of sarcasm to it in some way, because it was so ridiculous. No one could have really made that kind of statement. He didn't even make the statement direct.
But people took it for read.
Right. They took it to where is Trump. They didn't even say is Trump. They said Trump is suggesting that you put chemicals in your body to get rid of the virus, when he was just asking one of the doctors beside him.
Oh, that. I remember that. Yeah.
Right. So he was asking the doctor. It was live. He was asking the doctor beside him. And then so with these chemicals that can get rid of the virus, can you help them inject it in you? Like, can is it effective injected in you too? And then the guy was like, something he said, but it was basically a no. He was saying, you know what I'm saying? And then Trump was just like, I think it's interesting that should be looked into. I think it's interesting that should be looked into. That's what he said. Now, can you say he made that as a statement that we should inject that into people? Or did you took that into another context?
Well, in that case, it would depend on whether whether it would make sense or not, If a guy is, if your leader walked off a cliff, would you follow him down there? That sort of thing, If your leader said, shoot yourself in the face, a la Jim Jones.
Right.
Would you do it? Or Heaven's Gate or whatever.
What I'm saying is, though, the context. So context is just a part of a passage that someone was saying, where I did not regard the full thing he was saying. I just took the piece and I went to this subject in my mind saying, are you suggesting that we should inject that in ourselves? That's up to him whether he could say yes or no. Did he say yes? Didn't hurt him. Did he say no? Don't know if he denied it. He just simply stated that as something interesting we should look into.
So what would the average Joe do with that information? What can they do with that information?
That for someone like a president to make that kind of statement? Well, I mean, like, that's what I'm asking you first. Like, it's for a president to make that kind of statement? Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking how would the average person tell what to make of that statement? If there's some ambiguity in what a person says on the media, how is a person? What should the average person do with that information that they hear? I'm not talking about the president.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the common person should obviously use common sense to where it's like the figure, why would I put chemicals inject in my body like that? Where even in bleach, it states that you do not induce chemicals in you don't
Most
inject
people don't really have common sense like that,
That's amazing.
I think it's a thing in the modern era that a lot of people are more in, because there's different kinds of intelligences with people. And it's frequent that people will understand their jobs or technology or whatever, some other things that society has them preoccupied with rather than themselves and their own well-being. They don't understand, the basics just, they get lost in the demands that society can put on you sometimes. So a lot of people don't really have things that me and you would call common sense.
I find that so amazing. Like, even when I was like young, I still had common sense. I was considered a flunky.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of other people weren't so lucky. Or a lot of other people aren't so lucky because they just have lots of other demands like that. So, I mean, do you think it's possible to like educate these people in some way?
Oh, absolutely. We're in the information age, man. Like, there's so much information.
People tend to gravitate. You said so yourself. People tend to gravitate towards the easier information, which can be the more far-fetched information, more farcical information.
Exactly. Because I guess for us as human beings, we're just lazy creatures. Like, not lazy as in like we don't want to do anything, but just.
Well, most of us are. Most of us are lazy.
Yeah, it's just the easiest thing for us, basically.
I'm lazy.
Yeah, I'm lazy too. Like, you think I like to write all the time? I just feel bored sometimes. I'd be like, damn, I need to go play a video game and catch up. Same thing with me doing the podcast. Like, I'd be like, oh God, I don't want to do this. But I just have to bring them episodes up. Apparently people are asking, And it's not because I don't want to do it. It just, you have that feeling sometimes that you just want to fall back and just take it easy, that's just like a temptation or some sort of, I don't know, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, oh my God, I can't remember the name.
Yeah. Well, yes, the average humans are lazy creatures. A lot of us can do so. And, whether it's laziness or not, some people just are, they're not in a position to deny what the media will tell them, So what do you tell them in return? How do you educate them? How do you make them learn?
That's when they have to be independent. And that's what Robert Kiyosaki was trying to teach people. Been trying to teach people for the past decade or 20 years of financial independence, where they themselves don't have to rely on these fake teachers, these fake medias, the fake financial advisors, fake money. He wrote that in his book, actually. And then I came across this research like that too. It's just, you want to actually find a way to make your own conclusion first. You don't have to be an expert, but you can have just some sort of common knowledge.
Oh, there we go. The first profound statement by Maverick Shack.
Wow.
The entire show.
Wow. Yeah.
Oh, well done.
This guy is quite a friend, everyone. Trust me. He's quite a mate. He's like.
Yes. Make your own, make your own sensible conclusion. It's a good pointer.
Right. I think everyone for sure, I'm confident everybody at 100% capacity can do that. Whether it is dyslexic or even the R word. I mean, well, I could say it, freaking retarded. I mean, even if they're retarded.
You really went there.
Conclusion. Yeah. No, some people are very PC, so they get really, you can't say that, call someone that. It's mean,
Right.
I'm like, geez.
Right, anyway. So, all right, make your own solid judgment calls. I agree with that. I think a lot is lost when people try to follow things,
Yeah,
I can agree. A lot is lost when people will follow the bandwagon with certain things.
Yeah, it's a shame. Someone was just telling me about like, oh, it's a good thing because then more stupid people will just die in this world and less stupidity.
See, that's not nice.
That's what someone told me. I was like,
what that person was on about, or what their problem is.
I think they're just pessimistic.
Well, okay. I'll let you be a judge of that.
Yeah, trust me, they're pessimistic. Somehow they're not pessimistic of women. Like they can get a lot of women.
Your mind is like a friggin' stream of consciousness, man. It's like whatever sequence of words just pops into your head. It's right here on the. It's right here on the recording.
Yeah. No, it just interests me how someone like that can be pessimistic with everything in life when I have a conversation with them before. A lot. But not with women. That's interesting.
Anyway, continue. So there's different so one way people can respond more smartly to these rumors or whatnot is make solid judgment calls of your own. Do you have any other pointers? Like in regards to like the I guess there's a lot of data and a lot of factors that can go into a lot of things, how they come around. I don't know if they're even certain where the coronavirus, for instance, came from.
Right.
As far as I know, it came from bats, but then I saw like a couple of articles and I'm like, no, the coronavirus did not come from bats. It came from, they don't know. So,
It is just a virus. Well, that's the thing too. Like, there's two things. So the first thing being just the virus. Like, we have some viruses in our body and bacteria, like over 100 trillion, that are supposed to like keep our bodies like, keeping like a strong build, like immune.
Do we have viruses in our body naturally like that? I thought we had a lot of bacteria that help us in like digestion, stuff like that. But surely the body is going to try to get rid of viruses because those aren't even
viruses are in your genes, man. Once it's there forever until we find a cure for it. The common cold, that's a virus. The common flu, that's a virus. It gets triggered. Chickenpox or varicella, that's a virus. And then when you cure that or vaccinate that, you know what happens? You catch the shingles. Stays dormant in your brain unless you're around like your age 80 or something or old. And then it's going to attack you all at once in your head. It's one hell of a pain. I can't believe that I might have to experience one day. Hope to God I don't. But it'll happen once. It could still trigger again, but it'll happen once and then you'll move on with your life. But that stays in your body forever. There's a bunch of viruses in our bodies that stays in us forever. Because it's part of our genes. And again, we've only discovered for 130 years. But a lot of people don't even talk about that, which is so dumb. And it's
what were we saying about viruses and bacteria in the body?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're making when you control a narrative, you're making it come across as a vaccination should be something essential for people. Where like that shouldn't be essential for every person because that's still a drug. You know what I'm saying? Like, to enforce it to say everything can't be the same until we get every person on the planet, almost 8 billion people, to get vaccinated before things get back in place. I'd be like, that's not realistic. Now, before I go into that, the second thing is where how we have, what is it? I said 100 trillion bacteria and viruses. I can't remember what the second thing was.
You don't need to give me the exact numbers, man. Just continue with your point.
No, I'm trying to remember what the second thing was before I continue with the first one, with viruses. But a lot of people, I can't remember the second one. I'm just saying like how people control the narrative to not talk about it. If you go to your doctor, you go book an appointment with them, even though it's expensive, they would tell you all about what the truth is with the virus thing and how you don't need to induce a drug on someone to take a vaccination if they're perfectly healthy. Like, I think the second one is, why do we have to get quarantined for something when people are healthy? Like, how does that make any sense?
What do you mean?
The point of us quarantining people was just to stay around 2 weeks to see if we could see symptoms in people, right? To see if they have
maybe initially that was the case, but then the cases started going up worldwide, and then that's why the quarantine got extended, seemingly indefinitely.
Okay. So my thing is though, but why did it got extended, even though it's increasing? Where are the symptoms showing for people? Not the asymmetric. I gotta pronounce it right now.
Asymptomatic.
Asymmetric, yeah, asymmetric. Not that thing where they're talking about. Some people are dormant of it. Doesn't work like that. When you're being asymmetric, whatever.
Asymptomatic, which I just said.
I can't pronounce it right now for some reason.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fine. The 2 or 3 gear cogs in that power your brain. And,
right. So the point being, it should have took up to 2 weeks to show whether if you have it or not, just like the flu. And it's not something that's the flu. It is a coronavirus. It is a respiratory disease where it will show symptoms on how it will, you know what I'm saying? Show that you are someone who should be quarantined to not get people infected. You know, you should be someone where mom and pops are endangered, or I don't know, grandma and papa are endangered. You need to stay in this house because you have symptoms where you're suffering, and we don't want you to spread that disease or infection to someone else. You see? That makes sense. Got that. Cool. My thing is, though, how do you take someone who's healthy, where it's been past 2 weeks, and then they can't get back to going to work when they're completely healthy?
Okay.
You know?
Well, and I don't know. What can you do about that? Can you even magically distinguish like that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how you just, which brings me back to my whole point, what I was saying earlier about how looking at things from how it's really scientific, you know, not half-assing the science, you know. How can you commit to this thing if throughout history been doing it this way?
Okay, try to explain that a little better.
You're stating that you want a healthy person to also stay locked in a house, you know, a person now, a species, and you're vouching that everyone needs to do this, and you account everyone is tested, and to show whether they have the virus or not, and that these things will be in us forever, no matter what, even if you get vaccinated. You see, it's still in your genes. You're just training your body because it's a drug. You're just training your body because a drug alters the way you behave or your mental state. So when you're inducing that drug in you, it's going to have you just handle the virus before you get it. That's how it's most effective. And then because you're basically putting the things inside it that's from the virus. So when you're doing that,
you're talking about vaccines now.
Yeah, I'm just making a point with the virus. How when you take a vaccine, the virus is still in you forever until you find a way to get rid of it from your genetic system. And how we already have, must see, over 7 viruses in our bodies, for sure over 7. It's already inside us. So for the media or someone to tell you, oh, virus going on out here, it's going to kill you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh God, like, you know what I mean? Like it's the most tragic thing. This shouldn't happen in human history when we've been having viruses in our bodies for forever now, for like thousands of years.
You're basically telling me this coronavirus is not that big a deal, even though the mortality rate is pretty high and it's been killing. I mean, at least based on the news that I've seen, it's been killing. You know, I don't know, like a million people.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not disagreeing with
lots of people worldwide. You're saying, I don't know, it's not.
See, 7 billion people, 100,000 people. Sorry, almost 200. About 200,000 people gone. Claimed by coronavirus. Now, this is the thing that you just brought up that I was actually going to get into later. You just talked about something that you should really look at. And what you're saying, you said how a lot of people are dying from it, right? No, mortality.
According to the news that I've seen. I mean, the only thing I know about what goes on in the outside world, I'll admit, is from watching the news. So that's just what I know. That's just what I can think I know.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Now, you talk about mortality rate. Now, studying biology, you would understand that there's a thing called comorbidity, and there's a thing called case fatality rate, or case fatality risk, and there's a thing called mortality rate. Those are 3 things to know, right? I don't know if you know biology.
Right. No, I'm not familiar with those terms.
So a case fatality rate is the amount of closed cases of people who've been suffering from a disease. And you have a portion of, diagnosed disease. So you had a portion that's recovered and you had a portion that died. So let's say 2 million people got infected. 1.5 million has recovered. And you had 500,000 died. right? You would measure the case fatality risk. That just means how likely, how fatal a disease is. Is it over 30%? Is it over 20%? That kind of thing. What level makes it a threat? You see?
Right.
So if it's 500,000 people died and 1.5 million survived, God knows I don't feel like dividing right now doing math, but that is a I'd say low to almost moderate kind of like level. But you'd have a big chance of still surviving, you know? That's one. Mortality. Yes. Okay, so mortality rate is where the amount of people that have been diagnosed and died. Depending on how you do it statistically, you could say the word manipulate the numbers to what it actually isn't. You see? Okay, so mortality rate is being out of a population. You got, say, 400,000 people in the city, 70 people died from that disease. That mortality rate is less than 1%, right?
Yeah, that's
right. Now, if I were to match it with, say, the amount of persons that got infected, and I put no people got recovered, and I just put the amount of people died, then I could hence what? What am I doing exactly? Does that mean does that mean the mortality rate increase?
Yeah, it seems so. It'd look a lot worse for sure.
Interesting, right? Keep that in mind. Interesting. And then lastly, now you have the comorbidities. You say, Jesus Christ, I can't believe I'm giving people, what's the word I'm looking for? Advice or information on freaking biology? Anyway, you have comorbidities where you have other different factors of diseases you're already suffering from. Throughout this coronavirus, right, Dylan? What happened to people who are already suffering from cancer? What happened to people who are already suffering from like injuries, internal injuries, fight injuries, whatever is the opposite of internal? What happened to people who are already suffering from like Alzheimer's and all those other things in hospital?
Right. But before you list off every single example you think of, I imagine they're a lot more vulnerable than the average person.
Right.
Not suffering.
And they still have to take treatments in order to not let these diseases affect them more than before even catching the corona. Then maybe by the time they catch it, it may affect them more to get it and die from it. Or might not even die from it, just die relating to it. Henceforth, I could write that down as a case if I want. And I could say they died from case related to corona. Or I could just say case corona if I really want it. And there have been doctors that have been reporting that, just so you know. That apparently medias aren't even talking about. I found that interesting.
So, a lot of people are skewing. I mean, that's just statistics for you right there. There's a reason they have that saying, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics, because it's very, very easy to skew. Because numbers are so definitive, it's very easy to skew them. So,
this can be used to prove basically anything.
So what I'm thinking is like, you're saying, you brought up a point of contention that a lot of healthy people are being kept indoors because of this whole thing. So what can be done for them? Can you really? Are there even the resources to handpick them like that, so they can continue to function the way they were?
Well, let me say this: like when the shutdown happened, I was like, okay, cool, awesome. My thing was what I was expecting from the government was they were going to have people from the hospitals or whatever actually go to people's houses and start getting like tests from them. I thought that was going to be a smart move, and then things would just go in place and we'd have information. Instead, they're like making these claims of people to stay home. You know what I'm saying? Showing up at hospitals and stuff.
Is that realistic? Do we have do our hospitals have the equipment to have doctors go to people's homes, and are there enough doctors for that?
I'd say you could have a lot of people volunteer, with assistance from doctors where, okay, all you're doing is you're going to get a sample of DNA from some people, secrete DNA, anything that's liquid from them to get it.
Right.
I guess blood would be the most effective, whatever. They get that from them, just like when you take an ancestry.com with a swab or whatever. Get that from them, collect it back to the doctors. They can start immediately researching, seeing this person's negative, this person's positive, who's who, find out if they're quarantined enough.
Right.
Then
I'm not sure how that would work. If it works like that, then I guess that'd be great if people could just turn in their DNA.
Yeah, like instead of you want them to get oversaturated hospitals and have the doctors overwork, you could just save the doctors time and have people volunteer and have some workers who are.
It sounds like one of those in a perfect world kind of things. I'm not sure how realistic that would be, but
yeah, I'd bet my two testicles that is very workable, and it would cost way less of a spread because now you have the selected persons who are protected to go to that person's house, helping people stand at the door. They don't have to go in, get the test, take it back.
I need to run that by a real doctor because I'm curious to see what.
Yeah, get some doctor and an entrepreneur. Take the both of them, and that kind of thing would work. Like I thought that's what they were gonna do since freaking February, but no, everyone's just sitting home, not doing nothing, and now you have to go protesting. You could have got all the tests and everything done there, and things would have been set. Not this whole thing where I need to take an app and.
This whole thing made me wonder how the other pandemics, like the Ebola one, how they exactly ended, because I don't even think I realized when they did end or how they ended, how they got resolved. I don't think we even have to worry about it as much as we do now.
It was well, I don't feel like I have an answer. The whole thing was just they just had a vaccine for it since December just passed. It's still being tested. It's not even an official state. Like, did you know vaccinations have to get licensed and stuff first?
Sorry, repeat that.
Did you know vaccines has to get licensed and stuff first? They have to get licensed and pass through trials and all that stuff. Did you know that?
Well, no, duh. What?
Yeah, but now, do you know how long that usually?
Obviously, these things supposed to be saving people's lives and their medical things. Yeah, I would think. Yeah, I would think they need licenses and all that.
Yeah, well,
you get registered like any discovery.
Yeah, so the thing was though, is just when it came to Ebola just outbreak last year, and then they just had a vaccine for it by December, just passed. It usually takes 3 to 5 years before you get an official vaccine. But they vouched the vaccine. It's not even official, that's the thing. It's available, but it's
Did they make that one faster or did they just skip a few steps?
No, they skip a few steps basically. So it's they have status when you make a vaccine. Let's just say the status is not ready, but it can be distributed. It's legally could be distributed, but it's not ready.
So they haven't really even resolved the Ebola thing yet?
No, that's the thing. And now they want to do the same thing with the corona, which is so weird. That's takes 3-5 years because these things do take development. So because when I do some chemistry experiments, some things do take a certain amount of time. You can't skip that.
But I mean, the world is really market driven now. So I would hope that they would sort it out a lot faster because you see how quickly the economy is collapsing.
Right.
Just from a few days of this. I reckon they might skip a few steps. At least I hope so. But I'm not sure.
That's the thing though. That step cannot be non-essential. That got to be a non-essential step, Well,
yeah.
That's the thing. So that's what makes it dangerous because what happens to the long-term effects? What happens to the kid later? And I'm supposed to write this in an article later too. I am putting together where some people said that vaccinations have been proven to not really been that helpful. I'm still looking more into that first before I even have an intake on that. But I've seen some reports. Interesting. But henceforth I said, it's a drug where a drug itself, when you induce it, it can kill you still. So if you're giving a child who's completely healthy NyQuil, that himself is going to make him sick. Am I wrong?
Sure. I mean, no, you're not wrong.
There you go. So people got to realize that stuff is still a drug technically. A drug ain't bad. I have to say that.
Oh yeah, drugs are great. Yeah.
Man, drug is just something to alter the way you behave. That's it. That's all a drug is. So
yeah, it's no different from chicken nuggets and all that, or
I mean,
I mean, when I bust up my toe, it makes me scream like a girl. That's like a drug. Makes me behave differently.
And well, that works too, I guess. I was gonna say something like, you could say like coffee. Coffee has a drug in it, or nicotine with cigarettes. Could use that as well.
Yes, those make you behave differently.
Yeah, no, nicotine just makes you addicted to cigarettes or some shit, and coffee just keeps you up. That's all.
Right.
Just adrenaline related. So
right. So where were we with
Yeah, that's my whole thing I'm saying for the whole two-part between how viruses are, it's all in our bodies. We've been relying on it to evolve as human beings. The second one being when people control the narrative, it makes them feel frightened saying, oh no, viruses are bad. Like, I'm not saying viruses are good.
Viruses are bad. I mean, let's not neglect the fact that this one has supposedly, based on the numbers, killed a lot of people. I mean, based on the official numbers, it has killed a lot of people so far. The numbers are going up. They have been for a while.
Let me add something to those numbers, right? So, have they been confirmed by the morgue yet? That's the question you'd be asking.
What?
The coroner. Have the coroner looked at it and confirmed those numbers? They didn't.
They didn't? How do you know?
They've only been put on certificates. They haven't had any coroner looked at them yet. That's the thing. I don't know why. It's usually you have to. That's how you announce the death.
Well, maybe they just didn't get the fucking coroner detailed numbers yet then. I mean, that sounds like that would take some time, right?
Oh, I like how you said that. It takes so much time, but they swear that they claim that these numbers are...
Well, what are they going to do? Just not have any numbers?
No, they don't have to have any numbers, but you got to be realistic with the numbers. Like,
you got to be realistic. Oh, God. What the hell are you saying right now?
Is that
realistic with numbers? Is
that legitimately that person died from COVID-19? Or was it something else that they were already suffering from as an illness? And that COVID-19 was just also another factor to it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I heard about that. I did hear about that. I think that I believe that's been the case. I believe that's been.
I didn't even hear of a fact.
I wouldn't be surprised that a lot of cases of death were from something else, but that has been attributed to COVID-19. I can believe that. Not every single one, like your friend David Icke said, but I could believe.
Like I said, I don't believe everything the guy's saying. I'm saying he has some information interesting to look into, where it's like, you know what? That is something interesting to look at. Like,
right.
I never even bothered to question that. Like,
right. It doesn't look good when you're vouching for the guy, right?
I'm not vouching.
It doesn't look good when you're like.
I just said I don't believe everything the guy's saying.
Anyway, so yes, the numbers are probably inaccurate, but even then, they are seemingly going up. I know some people that have been affected by it.
Right.
Just some friends I made in Boston who went back to their respective homes in Europe and all that. They've been affected by it. So I'm not 100% certain that it's all real, but the numbers of deaths are going up. They're there and they're going up. So as far as a narrative is concerned, this is a virus that is a threat, and it has gotten worse, at least in terms of the number of cases.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure about. I guess I can't know.
The virus is very real, man. It's very real. I'm just saying, like, I find it interesting how the whole numbers itself is just so more than what it should seem. And I noticed a thing too that media start doing. They don't even try to include people who recovered from the virus. They just keep the deaths there. And
yeah, that's no duh. I mean, they're not gonna. The news doesn't talk about the good news that happened in the world. That'd just be boring now, wouldn't it?
That's just dumb. But they just started taking that out. That's the thing. It was there like a month ago. Now they're just like, oh, let's remove that. Let's just make it dire. Just fuck it. Like,
I guess.
Let's just put some icing on the cake. Let's make some hell. Let's make.
I haven't noticed that myself. I wouldn't be surprised though.
Yeah, but it's still there. Like when you look on World Health Organization, they still have it there. CDC has it there as well. Even NHI or whatever, NHCI, whatever. They have it there too, where you could see the recovery. The recovery already hit 1 million. I was like, so when are they going to talk about 1 million people recovered from this? And they never bought it to. I was like, I expected that. That's a damn shame.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a big.
good. I mean, you got to realize, like,
because
media.
you had old ladies who like 90 or 102 that survived it. I feel like you're giving them a slap in the face. I'd be like, and I recovered from COVID. Yeah, well, some people died from it. I'd be like, but I could save other people's lives now. Like, what? You know? You're not even going to try and validate that?
Well, I'm sure the scientific community is, I'm sure they would seek resources or knowledge from people that are surviving these things.
Yeah,
I wouldn't leave it to the media to worry about that. Although it does make me wonder if more scientists would be aware of like how much a virus is being fought off if media did report these things more, like more of the recovery cases.
True. When you ask a doctor, by the way, make sure you see the suitable doctor, virologist.
What are you, my mom?
No, I'm just saying, like, if you want the real effective one, you know what I'm saying?
The real effective what?
The real effective, like, the person who's most matched to have that knowledge to talk about it, not a heart surgeon or, you know, saying someone who deals with blood or whatever, you know, or vagina.
Thank goodness I haven't had to talk to any doctors lately, baby.
Yeah. So just check with them or check with a PCP. You've heard of that before?
Back the metabolism of a horse, baby.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you said it again. You even said another factor to it of how it talks about virology. I guess I hate knowing biology and everything, but for some reason I just catch on to it easy. I don't know. I just really hate that shit. I hate it as much as French.
You hate what biology?
No, I hate learning biology and I hate French, but somehow it's really easy for me to remember them. It's annoying. But
maybe you underestimate it.
Very useful. It's very useful, like, you know, like it's just.
Well, I can't stand art and I'm an artist. You know?
See that? You got a freaking passion.
Love that.
Yeah. That passion. Damn. You got moxie.
I would call it a love-hate relationship.
That's what it is. Guilty pleasure for me, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, talking to those kind of persons, they would tell you about it because I've spoken to some, and I've heard even some when they were being interviewed by people they usually treat. They don't say it as, oh, it's not real or anything. They just letting you know it's not as what people make it seem as. They really educate you on it, that kind of stuff. Like legitimate, kind of like actual set of information they give you. And it's like, yeah, just do this, just build your immune system, yada, 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 you know? They don't do the whole recommend take a pill. It's just
yes, there are people. Right. There are all people out there. Thank goodness.
Exactly. They're just letting you know, eat right. Make sure you take care of your body. You know, interact and make engagements and that kind of stuff, and then you'll be fine. Like I found out something interesting. I wish I knew as a kid. Like, but two things. One is called. You heard of heating up orange peel inside water?
I think I heard something like that. Yeah.
Right.
I don't remember what fruit it was, but yeah, the orange peel in water.
Yeah. So you can make a tea with that sucker, and apparently it has way more potent vitamin C and a little bit of D as well. And that helps actually build your immune system much more than eating an orange. I think by a large percentage. I can't remember how much, but it's a large one. And that also helps cure asthma and helps prevent heart disease. And I was like, holy shit, for real? I was like, dang, I can't believe that this whole time. You could recommend people drinking that kind of stuff. And they would, and people have done it too. They've been doing tests and studies of it. And they've showed like, I think 60 or 70% of people being treated with those kind of tea, whatever, or is it tea, iced tea? Yeah, tea.
Right.
Where they can make it iced tea too, that's what I'm saying. where they've actually made like not recoveries, but they have not been susceptible to like heart disease or nothing like that when they were taking that kind of thing. You know, it's the same thing.
I think you would love the power wristband. It's a wristband that enhances your strength, stamina, and balance.
Right. Yeah.
You get yourself one of those. You'd be all over that.
Well, I mean, you know, when it comes to like the principle of quantum physics, like, and I can't believe people. I'm trying to go off. I'm just this is irrelevant. I'm just saying, like, with principle of quantum physics. God, I can't remember what the principle is. It was a principle. I can't remember how to describe it.
You have the internet, man.
I don't like the Google stuff, man. Fuck.
Principle of quantum physics. Damn, I'll look that up for you. I didn't even know if quantum physics had any principles.
That's
I didn't even know it had a school. I always thought it was. The concept of wave-particle duality says that neither the classical concept of particle nor of wave can fully describe the behavior of quantum-scale objects.
Okay, I think I remember it now. I think it was Dr. Lipton I came across when he's explaining it. Because I always thought that was something natural. Like when I was learning physics, that was something like, I thought that was basic physics. But apparently people, for some dumb reason, always believe the basic physics before quantum physics was actually the physics. And that fucking annoyed me because I'm like, what? And they're still teaching us in school, by the way. They're still teaching basic physics.
I have no idea what you're talking about right
now. Okay, people are saying quantum physics. They're talking about it now as if it's a new trend, when it was something we've always been taught from since like the 60s or way younger than that.
Kind of. It's higher level physics than regular physics.
Right. What I'm saying is people used to not think light could bend. That's what I'm talking about.
Who are these people you're talking about that are like, they don't know about this quantum physics? They think physics. Who are these people?
That's what I'm trying to get to. Majority of people, or like, you could say people mainstream at the time, used to believe certain things before like persons in them who came across these expanding concepts that help push the scientific knowledge we have from those times to today. So you had Albert Einstein and Niels Bohr that came upon this concept, and their own peers didn't even believe in what they were even trying to say to them. I was like, but that makes so much sense. Of course, light can bend, you know? Because at least, I don't know, based on the book I was reading, I got the right side of science. Huh?
I mean, it's going to magically know, hey, that totally makes sense.
No, not that. I meant if you do it from a mathematics, I had to study both mathematics and physics. You do it from a mathematical perspective, and as well as if you work out how the physics and everything work with light, energy, then you'd know that makes sense. At least when I've been reading the books, I've been reading the right set of books that actually.
Yes, when you're reading the books and you're in a more scientific world to begin with. But I don't
know.
Back then it wouldn't.
Yeah, from like the 60s, they didn't even accept it. And now, recently in 2000, they just started to make it something acceptable. And they've been teaching these old.
Science works, baby.
Yeah,
science works. That's a setback. Charles Darwin's theories couldn't be proven until like years after he probably died of whatever mosquito bite he got on his trip to the Galapagos Islands. And yet his findings are so profound that they're even used in the fields of psychology, which
ahead of his time kind of thing. But that's so dumb. Like, you didn't even bother to try and expand or look further into what he's saying instead of dismiss it. This is the same situation that's doing again.
That's not how people work, man.
That's so dumb.
Have you seen or met another human being, man?
What, that they're behind on the times of which we need to modernize today?
Okay, name one other human being that you've met, like besides your, I don't know, your mom or me. Name one other human being. You can name one.
Another human being doing what?
Too slow. Can't even name one.
No, I didn't catch that far. You saying
anyway, continue with the sciences of the 60s that are ahead of their time.
Right. I didn't even get their question. Unfair. Well, anyway, yeah, that kind of level of knowing things was just incredible. Like, you can't miss that. It's the same thing. Okay,
Kinda you could.
Okay,
there's a lot of amazing discoveries that I think are still waiting to be discovered and all. People just won't talk about these things until they.
Let me give you another example, then. Another example. What's that guy name? 1 second. Ignis. Ever heard of Ignis? Is it Ignis?
Ignis?
Yeah, give me 1 second. That's the name. That's his name. You type in Dr. Ignis or whatever.
No, I don't.
Ignus. It's Greek.
Ignis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Ignis Semel.
Dr. Ignas Semmelweis.
Semmelweis.
Anyway,
the guy Hungarian or something.
This guy's Hungarian or something. Yes, he's a Hungarian physician and scientist.
Right. I don't like when they say science or scientist. They generalize shit. He was someone who was like delivering babies. And this is
very naughty.
Yeah.
Naughty boy.
This is before when you see modern what they call it now? Modern medical practice where you have to wash your hands before an operation. He was doing that long before anyone else. And his peers looked at him as something that they didn't really agree with him on. Not all the peers, but some, or I guess most, basically.
So who was the crazy one?
Well, the point is he died in an insane asylum crazy. That's the point.
Holy crap. Serious?
Yeah, they dubbed him in an insane asylum. So I heard. Of course, I heard that, well, not heard, but of course I've read reports that he died from some weird, like one case he died from a disease from like mosquito. Was it a scar, like a wound on his arm? The other one
was at 14 days after he was committed to an asylum, he died of a gangrenous wound.
That one
caused by a beating.
And then the second case was that he also died from like what was it now? Like from a deranged disease, something like that. Some sort of deranged disease.
Deranged disease. But the disease run around with a fire axe or something?
Like he had a mental disorder or something like that. And then he died from that. The case that.
According to this article,
two different cases.
He died of he had a nervous breakdown before he died.
Right, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's like I said. Based on what I heard as well, was that they upped him being crazy or whatever, and they gave him a dichotomy. I think that's what it's called. I think they gave him a dichotomy.
You're messing up every single word, man.
I don't read these things, I don't watch these stuff like y'all YouTuber kids these days.
YouTuber kids.
Yeah.
YouTubers don't know nothing, man. They don't know words. Anyway, continue.
Anyways, yeah. So when they had him do the dichotomy or whatever, I'm using it correctly, basically dubbed him crazy, for doing that. Because they were like, what the hell? You wash your hands before you deliver a baby? Are you insane? Mainly he did it with the lime chlorine lime, whatever, or calcium chlorine. That way that could rid up these invisible, I don't know, whatever he dubs it as, these invisible sort of things that he knows that could affect the child from when he delivered him at birth. Because he knew that there was some evidence of something he could not see in that time. Something he could not state what it was. It was microbes, what we call it today. But long before
sounds like a crazy man to me.
Yeah, also it sounded like a crazy man to put him in an insane asylum and make him go through surgery in his brain to make him retarded and then let him die. Yeah. That's a crazy man. When he saved the life of a child not getting a disease. By cleaning your hands, practicing good hygiene. Saved the lives of billions of people up to this day. And how to reward him? Crazy man.
Well, that's people for you back then,
Still do it today, apparently.
Oh, yeah, with your David Icke fella. Oh, yeah. Can't wait for him to be... Can't wait for David Icke to be... To get an engraving and go down in science book.
It's amazing. So people like you and a few other friends I have still hold me to that. Like, really? Over one guy? Like...
Well, maybe there's a reason for that.
One guy with one incident? Did I ever state there's anything else he brings? Only one thing? and that's the coronavirus. Not even talking about the 5G. You know, one thing, and y'all still bring this up like as if it's relevant. One thing. I never said this guy talks about aliens. Like that guy.
No, if you're missing the point. The thing is, the point is that you seem to be a great near and dear fan to the great David Icke, based on the handful of interviews. It's not about the category of the interview he did. It's about you seem to hold him in pretty high regard based on the handful of interviews that he's done. That's
interesting. Really? I hope really like that's what that sound like. Damn, that's crazy. I don't even know how to distinguish that. Because I don't. He just had one or two interesting things. They're not valid, but there's something that pointed out.
Right, you could be a fan of a guy that says one or two interesting things. Hey, I'm not judging.
No, you're a fan of someone who you can follow and watch every and any and all interviews of him. That's when you're a real fan.
Shit, I guess. If that's your definition of one, then yeah, I guess.
I mean, a fanatic is just someone who just literally overloves something.
Yeah, and a fanatic doesn't incessantly follow them everywhere like you just define a fan would. Right.
And that's just the thing. Like, I don't follow him. I got like legitimate like teachers and like mentors and stuff. I actually follow and listen to their works. And you got like people like Leonardo da Vinci.
Good to know. Just means you have a wide portfolio. That's all. You got your Dan Pinas, helping you out, and David Icke. You take advice from both sides of the coin.
Those are like mentor. Dan Penny is a mentor in business. David himself, like I said, that one thing. Again, it's one general. Like maybe you know him. I don't know the guy. Only watched one interview with him. That's what like on London Real, or two actually now. But that's just about it.
Ooh, two. It might grow into three. Ooh. 3 interviews. And his social media account, maybe. And the book he published.
Well, you're assuming that. See? And no.
You don't get figuratism, do you? Hey, continue.
Well, anyway, like I said, I'm saying like how I have actual people I actually listen to and work.
Yeah. Past that. Back to the.
I didn't even name drop all of them. You didn't even want to hear them.
No, not interested. To be honest.
Oh, you're not interested in hearing Stephen Hawking's like legit like hardcore people? Like really?
I mean, I know who they are. Probably.
Don Wan Chang.
Okay.
Oh, Do-Won.
I mean, you can name drop if you want.
Right. Jack Ma, Jack Ma.
Anyway, so God, where were we talking about? Science and biology and legitimate sources.
The effects of the whole thing of coronavirus, how it's affecting a lot of people, mental health.
So tell me something. Do you think that would you say the economic deficits outweigh the benefits of being secure under lockdown? Excuse me. It was a bad time to do that one.
Wasn't I?
Would you say that the economic downsides outweigh the positives of being supposedly secure in your home and all that?
You said, well, I want to make sure I got this right. You're saying what would make the economic downturn of what staying at home lockdown?
Basically, I'm saying, is it worse that they shut down places, or like was it worth it to shut down places or not? Shut everything down.
Boy, that right there. I think what they could have did was very different. And maybe I was expecting too much, at least of what government should have did when they did the shutdown, which again was like not a problem. to prolong it went longer than what should have been initially. And even World Health Organization reported that you don't want to do that for a country for too long.
Mm-hmm.
So because of the economic effects, which are happening now, that they already made that statement to since like last year or 2 years ago, and just got updated in like January past or February past, where it will actually do a lot more damage than what you're trying to do in saving people.
Right.
Because it's going to cost more people to be unemployed. A lot of business themselves would have to not be open. A lot of people would be financially like confused, where I have to find a way to make rental payment. I have to find a way to provide food for my family, and I'm prevented from not working. And I only have a certain conservative amount of funds that will help me survive. And some people don't even have families. That's the thing. They might be living by themselves, and they're lucky if they even have a family that loves them to support them.
Mm.
You know, you even see reports of people where they're trying to ask for food now. One in Bahamas for sure that just came on the news maybe a couple of days ago, and the other one was on the United States. I think it was Michigan or in Minneapolis or Minnesota. One or two. There's this guy, he put it on social media where it's like, he don't have much, his kids, and he's got to have his woman send him something for them. And he had like 2 or 3 kids, you know? And that's just one or two examples, you know? There's still many other people who could be suffering from this, who might have been living, and the majority have been, paycheck to paycheck.
So what can the powers that be, what should they do? I mean, like, what can they do? Is there anything that would make sense? Real sensible solution that everyone could follow. Just ignore it and all that. Like what I think Sweden appears to be doing.
Yeah, see what Sweden's doing. Sweden trusts its people. Government themselves seem to not find their people competent. Well, I'll say for our government, I could speak for that. Government in the United States, very different. They're trying to get things back in order. Don't know when ours will. Ours look like they're trying to just copy and follow for some reason.
Yeah,
they do that a lot. It depends on the timing. Like, from a sense, I think if they weren't prepared around this time, they're screwed. If they weren't prepared, you know, because we're creatures of habits. What we were doing for like the past 6 months and longer, like, it'll continue to be that way. We'd have to break that habit, and we can't break that in a short time. And there's virtually no time. Like, with this person running out of food in 2 weeks, you got to find a way to break a habit in 2 weeks. You know?
So what can that person do, for example?
They got to change their mindset.
Change your mindset? Like, what do you mean?
Like the same thing I was sharing with you about with the silver and gold thing. That was a tip, you know, like as a friend to give to you to do for yourself as well, because I'm doing it. So I don't just spit bullshit to people.
Well,
like,
what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean.
Like I don't like, when I want to give people advice, I actually do this thing. I don't tell somebody I would do this thing, but then I wouldn't do it. You know, that's what a lot of people that call themselves as advisors do. You know, and then that screws them. Like if he tells you, so should I bet my money $1,000 on Florida for this?
So what does that have to do with people that got to change their mindset? You mean people should listen to certain advice and just change the way they change their habits based on that advice?
They should look to where they themselves can see like results, you know? They want to see results that fits their means. You don't want someone coming by and telling you, oh, I can, you know, let me borrow $100 from you, I'll bring it back, you know? And then it's like, wait, let me ask you, would you allow me to borrow $100 from you? And it's not that they say yes. The point is the money need to be in your hand, you know? Then you'd know if they actually take their own advice seriously. Like, do they actually do their own advice, you know? That kind of thing. And if they don't do that, then that doesn't sound like the person you should be getting the information from. That's just like a simple example, you know? It should be someone where, if you're trying to get advice, who already been doing this thing. Like you went to go talk to a neighbor. Your neighbor's probably someone who already's where you're trying to go. Of course, you go ask for his advice. But what a lot of people do is because they have the fear, criticism, and they have the what do they call it, jealousy. They don't want to talk to that neighbor. They would actually go talk to a neighbor who's doing bad as them and start gossiping and then not do anything. You know, I've seen that a lot. I wish I knew it as a kid. And I'd know how to separate from that. But you want to go to people who actually would do the thing that they're going to tell you. You know?
So now the question is, are you, why don't you be one of those people?
And wait, on which side? Like the one who's taking the advice or the one who's giving it?
Either one.
You know, I'm already doing my thing. What are you talking about? Oh man, I already shared with you some of the stuff I'm doing where I'm not really complaining. I have a lot of questions. I have some ideas I'd like to contribute, provided whoever is going to work the idea, make it something that can work.
How would you go about, because I know you say you've written letters to the government before. How do you go about that?
I send it to their emails, or I try and communicate with their districts. The district, well, the United States has like a district. I think Bahamas have like a ministry of parliament or something. So meaning locally or internationally?
Have they ever responded?
Brave Davis. Wait, anyway, I already dropped his name. People foreign are gonna be listening to this. Yeah, so Brave Davis, he made some response to me. He wanted us to meet, but that was like right when this thing initiated lockdown. We haven't bothered to reconnect yet since. Guy's like 75, you know, and he's like a lawyer, you know, as well as a politician. So
yeah, I'm not asking for his whole story. I'm just asking, like, when you write a letter to the government, what do they say? What purpose does that hold? Especially given we have such a tiny, otherwise kind of minuscule government.
That's what I'm saying. Like with that, that actually would help. Where for people who may not know, not for people, for if they don't know what to do, they're asking the people what could they do, and they've already stated that they, you know, what could we do? They wanted some suggestions, and if they don't get suggestions, then they may have to.
They want suggestions.
They want suggestions, yeah. They would have to put a lockdown. So I had to push as best I could to get those suggestions. I hope they looked at it. I think they did. They better.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Because if they didn't,
I have no idea.
If they didn't, and if it didn't work, then we would have had a lockdown. So, you know, can't help that.
We do have a lockdown, so
it's less. It's like only weekends now. Or because it was gonna be whole 9 yards, like 24/7. You know, better to have some restrictions lifted. So
well, places got to open up eventually, and they are now. So that's good.
That's a start. And open up completely yet. That's a start.
According to a friend of mine in South Korea, things are virtually back to normal.
Okay.
Things are easing up a little bit in the UK, if I recall.
Yeah, they said they're uplifting the restriction by, I think, tomorrow. Oh, sorry, they're going to stop social distancing by tomorrow or next week. That's what they said. In the UK. So I have a few persons there too. Fucking Brits and people from goddamn Wales. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool though. I mean, at least they'll stop the social distancing thing, but I mean, like this can happen again, and not because of a corona. This can happen again to another virus. I already even heard about some sort of bear virus or something like that.
Bear virus?
Some sort of virus. It's like based on a bear or something that I heard about in January. I said,
it's like
what are the odds that this becomes the next corona? Like after this corona settles down, because this is likely to happen. Then they're going to say, we're going to have to vaccinate again. You're going to have to buy it and get hold of the bill. But this
anyway, any other points you want to share?
Yeah, I'd say to ask for you to share some points. So
some points
for you, right? What would you do? Like throughout this whole thing, right? Like say if the government want to have to sit down with you, right, Dylan?
Mm-hmm.
What would you, and then they want you to suggest to them that, hey, what ideas would you put in place? 2, that would be most effective for us to do in order to uplift this shutdown and start getting the economy back in place?
I would say, why do you ask? Why do you pull some random person off the street to ask them for solutions? Because I don't got them. I don't got them. I have no idea.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you should not have a lockdown given the economic loss. I don't know whether you should have it and just deal with the economic loss as it comes along. I don't know.
Okay, so
I don't know what I would do.
Okay, so then let's say they ask you to name 2 solutions what they could do now to start moving forward with this. What would you prefer?
Moving forward from now?
Yeah, just an average show. What would you say to like moving forward from this now where we're at least for this country or in general? Not everything's opening back up. How should we go about doing things? Just 2 things you could list.
I don't want to make any bold statements, but I would say
put some balls on that bold statement, son.
Decriminalize breaking the lockdown. Don't have these insane fines or whatever for being caught out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just try to find a way to discourage it rather than enforce it.
Right.
And then lift it early and then see what happens, but increase medical procedures and all that.
Okay.
I've said to myself from the beginning that the main concern should be just tracking the virus, not getting numbers on it. Should be tracking the movements because it's such a tiny little island. I feel like it's very feasible to do that.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely
track the virus and maybe lift the regulations a little bit, just enough so that people can function. Try to accommodate, but also protect.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 suggestions right now.
Interesting. Okay. Oh man. Well, I'd say of all that then. I'd say of all that. I hope people like really listening and everything. However, we'll get this recorded and put in place and stuff. Hope they'll take a lot out of it to like do their own due diligence as well and contribute what they can as much as they could for their communities. It's a hell of a year. It's like,
well, I'm just some random person off the street, and
yeah, exactly.
You're just a random homeless person off the street, so
right? Like
they ought to take it with a grain of salt,
right? I'm just out here begging for a nickel and dime.
Yeah, just some idiot.
Buy my next album so I can buy a next Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, 1 album for 1 donut.
Right? Yeah, man. Like, I'd say for a lot of people, because this is a hell of a year. Like, it's already almost half the year ago. Yeah, guys, thank you very much for tuning in and stuff. We'll have more episodes on the way. Everyone stay safe. Continue to social distance. Wash your hands for all you nasty That's the filthy, filthy vermins out there. You know, continue to improve yourself and communicate with people as much as you can. Keep training your immune system, all that stuff. This is Shock Maverick on the Talks Near Me Telly show. We'll see you in the next one. When we Dylan, you old chap. Say goodbye to the audience. Don't be a jerk. Come on.
Goodbye, audience. Goodbye, audience of Talks Near Me.
Okay. And with that is a wrap. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you like our content, please hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate the support. And follow the Talks Near Me show for the latest episode content. And if you have any comments or questions, you can always find me on IG, LinkedIn, all that stuff. On my website, lukayans.com, LUKAYANS, or just Google me at Shaq Maverick. And I do respond to messages, guys. So have a great day, everybody. It's May. It's almost time. Things are opening back up. We will make it through this. We're in this together.